the same thing.
Yeah,
So,
I too.
Yeah.
Low key, I can relate.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
what I would say to that is that's common. So here's my thing. There's until I got into a healthier eating pattern and healthy lifestyle,
Mhm.
you, you feel like your options are limited, but in actuality, it's really your preparation style that usually is limited. Usually, we are, especially, I can assume everybody on this specific podcast is black that we're speaking to. You
Yes.
know, we kind of have our key go-to seasonings and spices that we use.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean. But being able to expand your
Mhm.
palate, you can pretty much make anything taste a bunch of different ways. So for me, some staples are chicken breast, chicken tenderloin, ground turkey, ground chicken, turkey tenderloin, um,
I've
shrimp.
not seen that yet. I don't. Maybe I just didn't look, but I have not seen the turkey tenderloin. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off,
No,
but because recently, well, not recently, it's been I don't know, it was before December where I actually decided to cut out like all red meats. Well, I only um eat turkey, chicken, and seafood. So anything else, like
yeah.
I
Well,
don't
and see, and
do.
that's what I mean. So like the turkey tenderloin, you have turkey breast. You can actually get a turkey breast like a chicken breast. Um, shrimp, sway fish, SWAI.
Mhm.
Um, cod is a good one. Salmon, obviously. Tuna's another one.
The
Not
tuna packets are really good, like those flavored ones. Yakira, have you ever tried that?
I haven't actually.
yeah,
Yeah, they have like the
those are good.
flavored. Yeah, they have the. I like the hickory, and then they have like the sweet and spicy. I think they sell them in a lot of
Hmm.
the grocery stores, but they're
Yeah,
really good.
yeah. The tuna packs are they come in handy, especially like when you're in a rush or if you forget. Just have a few in your desk at work or in your lunch bag that you carry with you. It's about 30 different flavors, literally.
Mhm.
Um, and not even just like pouched and canned tuna. But you can get like tuna fillets, just like you can get salmon fillets,
Mhm.
and you can cook the tuna yourself. So
Hmm.
those are kind of protein options that I always go to. And as you heard, I probably named about 9 or 10 different things.
Yes.
Um,
I hope you guys are writing this down as you listen.
you know, and then vegetables. I tell people don't be afraid to try vegetables. Like I said,
I
we
love vegetables.
yeah,
I can eat peppers all day. I don't know what's wrong with me. Like I literally had like a breakfast sandwich. Like I'll do like a fried egg, like, well, not, I don't know what you call it, over hard, whatever.
hmm
And I would have that, like two of those, and then I would just do peppers and then like maybe like a slice of bread or whatever. But yeah, I love peppers. It can go with everything. So just buy a bunch of
absolutely
peppers, you guys, and just chop it up and whatever, you can put it on rice, and then yeah,
right,
it'd be really
exactly.
good.
It's exactly, and that's what I was going to say. Get a lot of times we might get intimidated by the bulk section in the produce aisles of the store, but
Yeah.
try something that you haven't tried before. We black, so greens, corn, green beans,
Yep.
tomatoes, onions, peppers. That's pretty much our staples. But try some Brussels sprouts. Figure out different ways. Don't just cook them once. Say I didn't like it and don't touch it. I didn't like steamed Brussels sprouts, but then I had roasted Brussels sprouts where
Exactly.
you cut them in half, roast them in the oven, and they give off a smell, aroma wise, kind of like cornbread and
Mhm.
popcorn.
Mhm.
And when you eat them roasted, you can season them and drizzle some olive oil on them with a seasoning to kind of stick to it, and it's good. Um,
Yeah.
bok choy, it's like an Asian type of
I've
cat.
never heard of that.
Yeah, and you've seen it. I guarantee if you Google bok choy, you've seen it in the store. It's an Asian type of cabbage. So
Hmm.
we don't try to look at it, and it's at every
Yakira, have you
grocery
heard of
store.
that?
I have. I've never tried bok choy, but I have heard of it.
hmm
Nice.
You
Yeah.
I have
know,
to
so
try it.
so stuff like
Okay.
that.
Those are
Um,
good options, Theo. Really good options because I feel like um a big part of making those bad choices is just like time. I feel like everyone is kind of just moving and just everything kind of like back to back. Like even if you have a busy day and then you have prior commitments that you still have to, adhere to, and you are basically sometimes forgetting of even about a meal, and then your stomach growls and you're like, oh yeah, I'm hungry. So you just try to grab something just to satisfy that. So I think those meal preps, if you just take some time, like maybe if you have like a weekend or whatever, just utilize that spare time that you have to actually make, good decisions for your days ahead. So you're not having to worry about, picking up a candy bar or whatever else just to kind of satisfy the hunger for now. So I think that's a main thing as well. Okay, so kind of along with the food choices that we make, what Yakira, like, what have you seen being in the healthcare field? A lot of issues with unhealthy eating, maybe like, and I know we see a lot of like the high blood pressure, maybe like heart issues. What other things do you see along with unhealthy eating habits?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing, especially for our age group in like the 20s and 30s, is obesity. And it's so much to the point where I think here in America, what we consider to be overweight doesn't seem like overweight at all to us. It's like, oh, they're just a little thick, but it's actually borderline obesity, right? Especially here in Texas where the portions are huge. So we have a lot of, bigger people walking around. And I bring up obesity because it's really obesity that leads to different diseases. So we talked about hypertension or high blood pressure, and then there's heart disease, there's diabetes, and a lot of these are linked to obesity, but we won't see like the heart disease and other diseases like that until later on in our lifetime, if that makes sense. So for now, it's just, trying to maintain that healthy weight through diet and exercise so that you don't get to the point where you are developing diabetes or heart disease, especially heart disease, because that's heavily connected to obesity. But as far as the unhealthy eating patterns, I've seen a lot in the medical field, but you also have to consider the type of patient that you're treating and the population that they're coming from. So, for example, you may see more unhealthy eating among the Black population, but then you have to consider other social factors and other determinants. Do they live close to a grocery store? Does it take a lot for them to find some really fresh produce and really healthy options? Because I don't know if you guys have Whole Foods Market, and that so you have like the Whole Foods that are in the more affluent, privileged areas, which tend to be predominantly white. Right. And then you go to the hood or the Black neighborhoods, and you may see some affordable grocery store options, or you may see a liquor store, or you may see a corner store, and those corner stores have chips and whatever other flavorful things that are not healthy for you. So when you're looking at unhealthy eating patterns in people or in patients, you also have to consider other factors. Maybe they can't really afford healthy eating, which I hope that we're trying to.
It does get expensive.
Yeah. I agree. And I'm hoping that we are trying to mitigate that or to fix it as a nation with some of these more affordable options. Like Aldi is an affordable, healthy place. Trader Joe's is an affordable, healthy place. So yeah, and then you'd also mentioned things like time, right? When you are trying to make ends meet and you are working 2 jobs, now you have to figure out how you're going to meal prep for the week. And then it's just very time consuming and it can be draining, and that can lead to unhealthy eating as well, right?
So stress can lead to, yes.
Absolutely, because sometimes I'm like, you know what? No, forget it. I feel like I'm going to just go ahead and get some Oreo cookies, or I'm going to get some ice cream because, it's been a long day.
Exactly.
Right. I'm guilty of that. So, there are just so many factors that you have to consider when thinking about unhealthy eating and how you're going to fix that unhealthy eating pattern if you can.
Yeah.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Great answer. So kind of I'm going to rewind a little bit back to the choices people make regarding like dieting and things like that. What are some of the main concerns that you would think of when you hear about people going on these crazy diet trends, cutting out some of those essential macronutrients that Theo mentioned. What would you say that you see a lot of?
Let's see. Well, first of all, I really agree with Theo in the sense that you have to have a good balance of your macronutrients. And there are a lot of diets that are trendy and they sound good. And it's important for you to consult with your physician or talk to a dietitian or something about if that diet is even right for you.
Right.
I've seen a lot of keto diets
Yeah.
in practice. I haven't seen as many vegans, so that's just because the patients that I've seen haven't been vegan. But again, you have to consider the macronutrients that you are, I don't want to say depriving yourself of, but you're not feeding yourself, right? So with the keto diet, you're cutting out carbs pretty much. And the body does benefit from some carbs sometimes, right? And with like the vegan diet, now you need to make sure that you supplement with the nutrients that you find in animal products. For example, vitamin B12, where you're not going to get that as much from like your plant-based foods compared to your meats. So you just have to make sure that whatever you are taking out of your diet, you have some sort of supplement to make sure that you don't end up with some kind of medical problem, for lack of a better word, that's tied to your deficiency or your lack of a particular macronutrient.
Absolutely. I
Great
agree.
answer.
I
Yes,
agree.
definitely. I think that was great information. A lot of people need to hear that because we probably know it in our minds and we just get so stuck on, or we may think, oh, it's just 2 weeks, it's fine, I can cut this out, but you don't know if you're already deficient in something and then 2 weeks go by and you're making yourself more deprived of that, whatever it is that you need, then you end up, you know, in a
Right,
worse predicament. So
And,
yeah.
and I and
right.
I think if I could just kind of say one quick piece on
Yeah.
that before we transition, and I think something too that Yakira spoke about, just our American westernized world perspective. Our attitude is thin is fit, skinny means fit, and sometimes even that the lower the number on the scale, the healthier I am. I can say unequivocally that that is kind of a misunderstanding if
Agreed.
if you're not paying attention to your health, your fitness, your physical activity along with what you're eating. Because I know some thin people that are just fortunate to have, I guess, higher metabolic rate, but they eat like trash.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I know some more full figured people um, that are very stringent and very dedicated to their diet and healthy eating options. It's just their genetic makeup makes them thicker body people, or you know, I have a good friend who's very thin, but if she stood on a scale, you'd be surprised at what the number says, just because her bone and muscle mass, bone density, things like that. And I know some larger people that would step on the scale and you'd be like, wait a minute, I thought you weighed more than that. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So
Mm-hmm.
it's
Right,
just
right.
it's a lot of miseducation that we've received that we have to start trying to figure out based on a array of things. What's the
Mm-hmm.
best fitness goal process for myself?
Right, right. And
Agreed.
I also want to add that one way that we define obesity is oftentimes BMI or body mass index.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you have to take that with a grain of salt because they only use two factors. They use your height and your weight, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, with that in mind, even though obesity is basically defined by how fat you are or how much fat you have to consider those who are physically fit and have like a lot of muscle mass. They're going to have high BMIs. They won't be
Hmm.
obese or like morbidly obese, even though their BMI will put them in that category rather.
Yep.
Um, but you have to consider that as well. If you're looking at BMI numbers, is this person physically fit? Do they have a lot of body fat, and is that what's making them quote unquote obese? Or are they just so fit that they weigh more because they have more muscle mass?
And to that point, and Jaleesa can attest to this. My brother, my youngest brother that she talks about, I help train. The funniest thing happened. He's 6'1", 200 and we'll say